In this video, I'm going to show you how to remove the servo and the brush motor, and also how to adjust the height of your buggy using M3 screws. Now, if you see my other videos of video, if you upgrade the Wltoys 144001 to all metal upgrades, the fronts come with the holes for the M3 screws. So I've just popped one in there now, and the rears, as they come standard, come with the holes like the fronts. Now if you buy the metal upgrade, the fronts come with the adjusters, the rears don't. I've done a video previously that I found a modification that you can turn the metal upgraded suspension arms into adjustable ones using 2.5mm HSS drill bit and an M3 tap. It then allows you to use metal hubs and adjust the height, which they should have come out of the factory doing, because otherwise it just seems silly. So to do this, all I do is get an M3 screw and put it through the hole, which is pre-threaded. And if you watch the video closely, as you screw in the arm, moves up till you get the required height. Same on that side. So as you can see, put it down, the buggy is completely different sized. Same on the rears. So if you want to do a speed run and to get more traction, you expand the geometry the more you wind the screw in. And if you want, so if you're doing on-road driving, speed runs, things like that, you want the buggy as low as the floor as possible. As standard, the fronts are higher than the rears. You don't want that, you want equal distance. So you can achieve this by this simple mod, which costs next to nothing. All you need is 4 M3 threaded screws, one for each corner. So I'll show you quickly again on this side. It's dead simple. It can be quite fiddly if, one, you haven't got a magnetic screwdriver, and two, you got big daft hands like me. But you get it in, get it lined up, and you screw it down. And if you watch the video, you will see that as you wind in and the screw goes through the arm and hits the chassis, the actual arm lifts up and raises the height. You can then measure the distance between the surface and the suspension arm using a vernier, calipers, a ruler to even out the sides. So if one side's higher or lower than the other, if it's higher, you back it out and it lowers that. As you can see, significant difference in the height, and you can see how much angle is on that, and the more angle on it puts more pressure on your dog bones, on your hub carriers, on your differentials. If you hunker it down, the dog bones become straight, which needs less energy to push from the motor and less energy to drive the wheels, increase power, increase life on your batteries, and also increase fun. It can increase speed. It's just a great little cheap, if you've got the screws like I do. I bought the these little screw kit off eBay that comes with every screw spare for these buggies. Godsend, because if you happen to lose one, other than the M3s, I haven't got anything smaller than that. Now I have more than I could ever need. So quickly moving on to the motor removal. There is 2 screws at the front, 2 screws on the servo holder, 2 screws at the side of the motor, and 2 screws on the back differential. Now, when you put these back in, you don't want to over tighten, because they are self-cutting screws and you will literally rip the thread out of the plastic diff and you won't be able to put them back in. And as a lot of us users know, that is a problem with the rear differential, because they over tighten the screws, it pulls the thread out. As used in a buggy, the screws back out, which loosens this rear suspension arm pin holder. It moves back, the pin pops out, the suspension arm flies off, you lose the pin and your dog bone, and that's the end of your trip out, which obviously is not what anybody wants. I undid the wrong screw there, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, I apologise. So we can do the 8 screws. I am going to change the differential, the differentials to ones that are pre-greased. I'll just take these out, pop the new ones in, and I will dismantle the new differentials and put some new grease inside them. I need to wait to get some lithium grease for them differentials I'm taking out, because I used the last to grease the new diffs I ordered. While I was waiting for this, I did the grease mod on the 2 new ones so that I could just swap them out, which obviously saves time and it gave me something to do. So all 8 screws out. The motor is attached to the 2nd floor, which you can remove quite simply. It's only got a cable tie on it, quite a cheap one, so I'll just put that there. I'll get rid of it after. So we have this pinion and spur reduction gear cover. Also, as it fits on, it creates a full cover. As you take it off, you can obviously see the condition of the plastic reduction gear without having to take everything off, which obviously is beneficial. So next we remove the plastic bearing holder that holds this little bearing on this drive shaft in place. Please note, a little tip, I left it off. That drive shaft bounces around a lot. You don't realise as you're moving it with your hand how much it actually does bounce around. And I actually scored my original one, which it's no biggie, but it's not great. Right, so all the screws on here, when you get the buggy, make sure you tighten them up, because you will rattle loose and you will lose them, and you'll end up losing side carriers and servos wobbling about, etc. These 2 screws, remove the servo. These are quite easy to remove, they're not anything else, but yet again these are the same self-cutting screws, so you don't want to over tighten them, because you'll rip the plastic out and then you'll need to buy a new servo cover. So that is the servo removed, servo arm removed, and then out comes the standard servo, which is absolutely useless if you're using anything other than the standard motor. Sorry if there was a break in that, my little boy decided to run into the room, and we don't want my little boy screaming on the video. So, right, let's carry on. Right, so remove the servo. I'm going to replace it with 3-pin, I think it's a Emax. It's an ES3054 servo. I've got this on my basher build. It's, well, it's worked out pretty good. It's a fairly decent servo. As far as I'm aware, I've never had any problems with it. It's done well. We'll see how it goes in this one. Hopefully it'll be just as good and a good choice. I ordered this on eBay. I think it cost me £9 delivered from China. It was here within 5 days, which, you know, during the current pandemic is really good. So let's get this motor out. Now, hopefully these are going to come out no issue. I've heard horror stories of these just ripping the threads out and people having an absolute nightmare with them. The last one came out dead easy. I'm hoping this will do the same. If not, I've got my little friend with a blowtorch. So it's 2 screws and let's have a go. So there is quite a substantial amount of thread lock on them bottom ones. Good amount of pressure as you're turning to break the seals. Work quite well. Yeah, there is an awful lot of thread lock, which I understand why, but you know, they could use lower grade thread lock, blue thread lock for instance, rather than red, or super glue as I reckon personally they use when they do this. There's no other explanation for sometimes how hard these screws are to get out. So that's 2 screws out, and this should now remove quite easily, as he says, but it never does. So, you know, it is quite fiddly sometimes to get them out without taking the dry shaft out. I don't really want to take the dry shaft out right at this moment in time. It can be quite annoying, but by the looks of this one, the last one came out no problem at all. Ah, there we go. It's a little wiggle. So next is what everybody seems to have a problem with, is these 2 screws and that grub screw. Now, I'm not going to film this on the camera because it gets ridiculously hot and I don't fancy burning myself on YouTube, which I know you don't like to see somebody burn things off, but I'm going to take my little friend here, which is nearly 2000 degrees blowtorch. It literally melted the last thread lock on these, that it literally didn't even look like it had any on. Came off really easy. So I'm going to go and do this off camera. I haven't got the motor to put back in, so obviously you won't be seeing me refit the brushless motor today due to the fact that it's still in the post. We'll see, but this will be all from me today. In my next video, which will probably be either tomorrow or sometime this week, because I'm off work at the moment due to the pandemic. I'm going to be fitting the hubs from the rear, new differentials and the metal reduction gear. I'm not going to show you the stripping down because there's hundreds of videos on YouTube from different YouTubers showing the stripping down, the rebuilding, and we've all seen it and we don't need to see it again. So what I'll do is I'll strip it all down and I'll take the differentials out, swap them with the grease ones. I will also show the changing of the reduction gear and then the assembly, and then I will show the refitting of the brushless motor, which is quite a high kV motor that I'm fitting in soon on Project 100. So for today I'll say goodbye and hope you well and hope you have a pleasant day. If you like what you see, like and subscribe, hit the bell button,